Hi there guys, welcome back to the channel. Next game is of course at home, Palace against Aston Villa. Last game for the international break will be the fourth game of the season, and we're coming into it, I would say, off of a good result. If you're talking about the league, of course, obviously coming off a win away at Old Trafford, unbelievable result. Check out my review of that game if you haven't already. But midweek, obviously, Carabao Cup was a bit of a different story. Colchester at home, they held us to a 0-0 draw, and then we lost 5-4 on penalties. So, yeah, typical Palace really this week. Go from last week losing to Sheffield United, then beating Man United away for the first time in Premier League history, and then losing to Colchester just a few days later. It sums Palace up. It's typical really. But anyway, going into this Aston Villa game, I think the players will approach this with a different mindset. I feel like they weren't really 100% committed to the Carabao Cup Carabao Cup fixture, I should say. And I feel like in the league they'll be a lot more committed, a lot more determined to get a result. I just feel that's the way it is with Roy as well. I think at this stage of the season, he always targets trying to have a better start than the last season. And at the moment, if we can beat Villa, it definitely will be a better start than last season. And it's so important as well. If you get a good start in the league, you can almost stop looking over your shoulder, or it gives you a little bit of leeway, a little bit of a gap, so that you don't have to start constantly worrying about relegation at the very start of the season. You can try and build some ground and get away from that bottom three. And but if you look at the table at the moment, the league's already incredibly bunched up, so everyone's having good starts, so it makes it even more crucial that we have a good start in the league. So I feel like Roy's not targeting the Carabao Cup this season. It was clear by the way the team itself played against Colchester, and I feel like typically we always try and do well in the FA Cup, as you saw last season, and obviously getting to the final 2016. So I feel like that's a domestic competition we're probably going to be focusing on more later in the season. But let's get into this review, guys. Starting off with Villa, I mean, they're looking quite solid so far at the start of the season. All the promoted teams getting points on the board early. Excuse me. Really interesting to see, actually, because every season it tends to be a similar theme. You see the newly promoted teams tend to start very well. Huddersfield, of course, the year they beat us, first game of the season under Frank de Boer. That's a good example. They had a fantastic start. I think after 3 or 4 games they were in the top 4. And that was obviously a massive factor for them staying up that year, I believe, getting such a good start. It meant, as I said earlier, in relation to Palace, it gives them that leeway to be able to afford to lose a couple of games here or there and still have a gap between themselves and the bottom 3. So getting a good start is so crucial for the promoted teams, and all 3 of them have started incredibly well. Villa, it was very, very good result to get that win against Everton. I personally didn't think they would. I thought Everton, once they hit the ground running after, they got a 0-0 draw against Palace, of course, first game of the season, and I thought they would go on from there to build on that and start getting results, but it wasn't to be. At Villa Park, going to be a very, very tough place to go later on in the season for sure, and for all the away teams it's a tough place to go. Fans are amazing up there at Villa Park. It's an amazing ground. It's just great to see Villa back in the Premier League. I think I can speak for all Premier League fans when I say that. And when you look at their side, obviously made large number of signings in the summer. Had to be done really as a newly promoted team. I think that's fair to say. Getting Tyrone Mings in is massive at the back. He's very solid. I really rate him quite highly, especially after what he did for them last season. I really think Wesley up front is a great striker who at times Palace were linked with loosely, and was a striker I was looking at as a potential, someone to come in and start for Palace. Wasn't to be though. Aston Villa got it, and I think that would be a great deal. I think he's definitely got a lot of potential. Took his goal well, a lovely counter-attacking move in their game against Everton, I should say. Jota as well, new signing, putting the through ball there. So some players from the Championship coming up and starting to, make a name for themselves as well. I think the star man you got to watch out for is Jack Grealish. I do think he's fantastic on his day. He can pick a pass. He can obviously take on players as well. When confidence is flowing, he's very, very good on the ball. I think anywhere around that 18-yard box, you want to be closing him down pretty quickly. Otherwise, it's more than likely he'll pick out a pass or take a shot. And that's another thing to watch out for. There were some absolute bangers that Villa did score in the Championship last season from outside the box. McGinn, another example in the playoffs. So I think that that's definitely a way that they can get at teams. I think is their ability to strike from long range, or their success rate at least from long range strikes is very, very good. So for me, it is home at Sellers Park. I think it's going to be incredibly tough. And looking at the Palace side of things, I think we've got to approach exactly the same way we did at Old Trafford. I know it's a really newly promoted side, but looking at the way we played against Sheffield United, it summed up Palace's problems in previous seasons, not being able to break down teams, and it's really, really struggling to get at and break down teams that sit back and do what we do effectively very well. Putting 10 men behind the ball, breaking with pace. When teams do that against us, especially at home, and I think that was a major reason for our really appalling home record last season and season before last as well. Main reason for that was we have no idea. We seem to really struggle breaking teams down that do that sitting deep tactic, and I feel like it'll be the same sort of scenario with Villa. Everton seemed to struggle to break them down last season. They defended very well last week. They defended very well, Villa. And I think it'll be the same sort of thing again. They will look, especially away from home, Villa, I don't think will look to play expansively at all. I think they'll look to do exactly what they did for the way they scored their goal against Everton. They broke very well and were very clinical. We were extremely clinical against United. I think it was 3 shots, two goals in the end. And that's what we've got to be doing for the whole season in every game. You've got to be showing that sort of clinical edge, especially if we're going to be sitting deep in a lot of games. So I expect to see the same from Palace. Done very well, as I mentioned before. Done very well with the squad predictions, the team lineups for the last 3 games. Let's go into this predicted lineup now. Okay guys, so as you can see, I'm sticking with the 4-3-3 that worked so well against United. I think it was a great tactical change from Roy, and it had to be done really off of the back of that appalling Sheffield United game. White obviously in goal. Now obviously news came out that Ward and Van Aanholt weren't fit for the Carabao Cup game midweek. Roy said that in his post-match press conference, so that I'm slightly worried that neither of them are going to be fit for this game either. I'm going to do this team on the basis that one of them is fit, and I'm going with Joe Ward on that one. I feel like it sounds like he's closer to fitness than Van Aanholt. So I'm putting him in the team for that reason, but it's more than likely both these players will miss out, which will be very, very frustrating, seeing as we don't have any backups. Wink, wink to the board. But hey ho, what can you do? Got to just go with it if that is the case. But I'm going to say Joe Ward is fit for this, so I'll put him in the team. Cahill and Kelly in the centre back roles did so well, so solid against Man United. And then at left back, I'm putting in Jairo Riedewald. Obviously, there could be a change up there. I think this could be his chance to play. He can play at left back. He can obviously play centre mid, and centre back are his stronger positions. But being a left-footed player and playing in that left-sided defence so much at Ajax and at Palace, I think that he can play that role, and he is a decent left back at the end of the day, and he's the only cover we have in that position really. So he comes in. Obviously, if Ward is out, I can definitely see Kelly going into right back. He has played at right back before for us and for Liverpool as well in the past, and obviously seeing Scott Dan come in alongside Cahill. So not so worried about the right side of defence, but left back is a bit of a problem if Van Aanholt is out. For me, then the midfield 3, I personally think that having the same midfield 3 is what Roy will go with, which is the reason I've got McArthur, Milivojevic, Chiarte as the midfield 3 in this game. I don't think he will want to change up the team too much unless he absolutely has to, especially off the back of a win away at United. So I can see him attempting to make no changes to the side that beat Man United unless injuries force him to. For me personally, I would have probably liked to put Meyer in there ahead of McArthur. But I feel like Roy just had that bit of attacking flair, because as I said, I do think Villa will sit deep and we're going to have to look to break them down, which is obviously something we struggle with. So I think someone like Meyer in the middle will help us do that. But I feel like Roy will stick with the team that did well at United, and to be fair, who can blame him for doing that if that is the case? Then the same front 3, Ayew, who so far is the player of the season for me. I think every time he's played, he's been fantastic. More of the same, please, Jordan. Fantastically composed finish against United for the opener. And then obviously Zaha one side, and I think that he'll bring Townsend in on the left side for Schlupp, but that obviously could be debated. I think he'll keep. I'd like to see Townsend come in because I think Townsend and Zaha obviously work so well together, especially when all guns are all guns firing. But again, off the back of that result against United, I can't see Schlupp being dropped. I don't think he would. I thought he was very, very good. And he didn't have a performance that warranted him being dropped for this game. So I think he will stick with Schlupp for this one, and we maybe see Townsend feature at a later point in the game. For score prediction, this is a massive game. I think we have to, if we have to look to win this. If we win it, then obviously that's massive going into the international break. 2 wins, a draw and a defeat, and that's a good start to the season. It's something you don't say very often as a Palace fan in the Premier League. So for me, I think there's a lot of riding on this game already at this early stage. It's almost a 6-pointer against a side that will be there or thereabouts in the bottom half of the table, fighting relegation, you'd expect, with Villa. No disrespect to them. So for me, I think this is a massive game for both teams. They'll both be looking to target 3 points here. I'm going to edge it for Palace. I don't know why, because we don't ever win at home. But I'm going to go with a 2-1 win. I do think we'll concede to Aston Villa for the reasons I said. I think they're very clinical on the break and got some very dangerous players. Wesley up front, obviously a massive striker, very, very tall, very physical, and I think he'll cause problems. But I'm going with 2-1 win. I think we have the quality to get it over the line. It's just all about how we deal with breaking down a deep and resolute Villa side. But as I said, this is a massively important game for both sides, and it should be an entertaining fixture for that reason. Aston Villa away fans are very, very, very good. So expect that to be a very good lively atmosphere at Sellers Park on Saturday. Can't wait to go. First game of the season for me. Obviously had a slow start with working, etc. But looking forward to being there on Saturday. Obviously, guys, thank you guys for watching. A bit of a longer preview today, but a lot I wanted to get through. Comment your thoughts down below. Do you agree with my lineup? Obviously, put your own lineups down below if you don't. And yeah, if there are any thoughts you wanted to put out on the game, your thoughts on Villa, any Villa fans watching, your thoughts on the tie, love to hear your thoughts as well. Just if I got anything wrong there, or if you expect your team to set up differently, let me know, please. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Obviously, down in the comments below, you can hit me up on Patreon. You can become a patron, and I'll be doing exclusive content on there. Very exciting stuff. Looking forward to that. Some articles, videos, maybe even some podcasts. Don't know yet, but some exclusive content will be on there for you guys if you want to become a patron on that. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time on Match Day.